Hey everybody, my name is Father Brian, and I am excited about a new endeavor that I plan on doing for the next several weeks or months. This is the thing. So as a Catholic priest, I obviously am familiar with the Mass, and I offer the Mass every day, for that matter, especially every Sunday. And what I also do, of course, is interact with people who attend Mass. The lay faithful, my parishioners, other people who attend Mass. And what I found over the years is that a lot of people don't really understand the Mass. And so I want to help people to understand the Mass as much as I can. And as I do that, I myself am studying the Mass so that I can try to relay what it is that is going on when we're there. I know a lot of us know the jargon, like we know that we're supposed to go to church every Sunday, or we know that we're supposed to go to Mass. We know like the standing and the kneeling and the sitting, or maybe we don't actually, we just kind of follow the crowd. We know the responses, the Lord be with you, and we know all of the stuff. But do we really know the reasoning behind it, or where they come from, the roots of all of it? So my goal actually is on Sundays at my parishes, I want to take the first 2 or 3 minutes of every Sunday homily and just explain one little bite-sized nugget about the Mass to my people. And I'm going to do that ultimately until I get to the end. And I don't have a number of weeks in mind, and I know that there'll be a small handful that I miss because, whether I'm going to a conference or vacation or something like that, and I'm not with my people, then I won't be able to share that week. But the goal here is that I want to explain the Mass, and I want to do it in bite-sized pieces. And so every Sunday to my people, I'm going to just take 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning of the Sunday homily and just explain something. And then after that, I'll go on and preach a normal Sunday homily. But I also wanted to share this with you so that if you wanted to tune in, you yourself could come to a deeper understanding of the Mass. Or if you already are familiar with the Mass, it can be like a refortification of what it is that you're already familiar with. The Mass is at the heart of our Catholic Christian faith. It is the Eucharist is the source and the summit, we say. And so wouldn't it make sense for us, of course, to love the Eucharist and to adore the Eucharist, but also to understand what it is that we're doing when we come to say we offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty details of the Mass itself, but for this first week, or it's actually going to be, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe a couple, 2 or 3, 4 weeks, something like that, where I want to get to the most foundational things of our understanding of the Mass. And that is this, that we know that when we go to Mass, we say, I'm going to Mass, or I'm going to church. Another way that we could say it, though, that we don't often say, is I'm going to offer worship to God. That's what we're all about. So I want to begin by asking this really foundational question of what is worship. This is so important for us, because if we don't get this right, if we don't understand that Mass is worship, and if we don't understand what worship is, then we're going to ultimately miss the whole point of the Mass. And that's a big thing. So I want to just explain that. So what does this word worship mean? So worship, it actually is an English word. It comes from the Old English language, and it can be broken down into exactly what it sounds like: worthship. So basically, in the beginning days of using this word worthship or worship, it referred to the honor, reverence, and respect that I would show to someone else or to another thing. So notice I said someone else. I didn't say like a god, but to someone else. In fact, at one point in time, they referred to judges, like in court, as your worship. So there was this understanding of offering worship, not exclusively limited to offering it to a god or to God, but that I could, in a sense, worship another person. And the way that I would worship them is by expressing what they're worth to me, through my respect, through my reverence, my kind of a deeper sense of respect, through my honor that I show to that person. Now, instead of saying your worship, we say your honor when we're talking to a judge, for example. So that's I think a helpful thing. And then over time, the word, it came to kind of be exclusively understood as this reverence and adoration that is offered to a deity, to a god. Of course, we know that other people worship false gods, and we see this throughout the scriptures, that the kings of Israel would sometimes turn their hearts to false gods, the gods of the Babylonians or whoever else. For us as Christians, of course, and for that matter for the Jewish people, their hearts were turned or meant to be turned toward the Lord, the true God. And so for us to offer worship to God is to offer adoration and reverence, this deeper sense of respect to who He is. So with that in mind, it's like, okay, how do I worship God? Well, I worship Him by expressing, by my life, by my prayers, by my adoration, by my reverence. I express what He's worth to me. Now, what is He worth to me? Well, again, we could get into all kinds of details about what has God given to us. So think about it. He's given you life. He's given you breath. He's given you sunshine or light. He's given you all of your senses. The fact that you can see or even listen to this is is a remarkable gift that God has given to you. And then on top of that, we could look at so many other different blessings that God has given. And so what is he worth to you and to me? Well, I know that without those things, I wouldn't even be alive. I wouldn't have existence. And so in a very real way, God is worth everything to me. And so in my worship of him, I want to find a way, like, is there a way for me to express to God that he is worth everything to me? And so when I come to worship at Mass, we'll get into what the Mass is, but when I come to worship at Mass, I need to understand, and you need to understand, that my first desire, my first disposition of mind is not that I want to get something from him. In fact, it's know that he's already given me so much, and now I want to give to him. So in other words, when I come to Mass, my focus is not about me, but my focus is on what I'm giving to God. The way that I can express what he's worth to me. That's what my purpose at Mass. So if you go to Mass, if I go to Mass and it's like it's all about what I want and what I prefer and what I'm getting out of it, I'm missing the whole point of worship. But instead, when I go to Mass, it's not about what I get out of it. Even if I get something out of it, praise God. But if I don't get anything out of it, that's fine, because my worship it's meant to be focused on him. And for that matter, not just on him, but on what he wants me to give him, if he's told me that. And that's going to be something that we look at in the Mass, is like, has God told us something that he wants us to give to him as an act of worship? And we'll look at that next week. But for now, I just wanted to kind of break that open. So something for you to reflect on, I think, as we move forward here this next week. When you go to Mass, what is your disposition of mind? Is your disposition of, I got to get something out of this? Or is your disposition, first and foremost, if I get something, that's great, but that doesn't matter. My first disposition is that I want to give God, I want to express to him through my adoration, through my praise, through my reverence, I want to express to him what he's worth to me, and what he's worth to me is everything. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.